Ladies and gentlemen, if you do not know anything about the stock market or the financial market, I will give you about a 5 to 6 minute class. And the title of this video is going to be how America and Americans are being robbed by Federal Reserve, which is not part of the government, who loans money to the United States government, in which you, the taxpayer, becomes in debt to the money that is printed. So what the Fed's been doing is printing the money and pumping in the stock market to make the billionaires more billions. Because when the housing market crashed, they started doing the quantitative easing, printing money and pumping in the stock market, but it was in billions, not in trillions. So what happened here is in 2010, Tesla IPO comes up. Tesla was worth $1.7 billion. Now Tesla is $1.5 trillion market cap. Okay, Facebook market cap was $100 billion. Now Facebook market cap is almost $2 trillion. So the US debt was about $13 trillion in 2010. Now the USA debt is $40 trillion. So you get the picture. Okay, the Bitcoin was trading at a $1. Now the Bitcoin is trading at 80,000. So we could go down the lines, all the IPOs and the tech stocks. Okay, Nvidia was worth less than 10 billion. AMD was worth less than 10 billion. Now Nvidia is worth half a trillion, almost $1 trillion. Nvidia is $5 trillion. So where did this money come from? This money came from the Federal Reserve printing money and giving it to the institutions like BlackRock and other institutions to be pumped in the stock market. Okay, so now we're going to give you some examples of two stocks, AMD and Intel, which someone pumped $1 trillion in these two stocks in past 30 days. Okay, the market cap of AMD went from $200 billion to $750 billion. Market cap of Intel went from like 150 billions to 500 billion. Where did this money come from? Okay, who pumped this money in the stock market while the Americans are struggling to pay bills, while Americans struggling to pump fuel, while Americans are struggling to buy? Okay, so you are living in a matrix for real, a propaganda and a scam being played on the masses of the people. Here, my man Scar Survival gonna give you an example. I did not used to like this YouTuber, but I love him now because me and him see eye to eye. Okay, now check this out. Here's the thing. I want you to pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the only thing that you got going on for you is your Second Amendment and your house and your silver coins and your guns, and that's the only thing you got going on for yourself. Okay, because notice how you cannot take out $10,000 at the bank. When you do, it raises all the red flags. If you got $100,000 in the bank, why can't you take out $10,000 without raising a red flag? Think about that. Because they believe that you're a slave and all the money belongs to them, and you're a slave. Okay, that's why when you're traveling on the road, if you got $10,000 cash or you go at the airport, they could take your money, steal your money. These are thieves who think that your money that you work for and you pay taxes on belongs to them. Okay, now I want you to pay attention to what's going on. Notice, prior to TikTok being taken over by Oracle, they were saying, "Oh, it's a Chinese propaganda machine." All the puppet politicians were coming out. Correct? They're all on a take. You are being pimped out to the stock market and big tech. You, an American living in America, in return for stock tips and donations, and okay, in return for money they're taking and tips in the stock market. Because I gotta show you, a lot of the people had inside information in AMD pumped and Intel pumped, and that's just a factual statement. Okay, now they were telling you, "Oh, China is so bad. China's our enemy. Drones are coming." But now you're in China making deal. Okay.
So let me get this straight. China is supposedly the greatest threat to the United States. They're buying land, farmland, building AI, expanding military power, threatening Taiwan, partnering with Iran, and we're constantly told they're preparing to challenge America globally. But suddenly, all the mega corporate overlords fly directly into Beijing like it's the annual meeting of the Galactic Senate. Oh, okay. Nothing suspicious about that. Because apparently America First now means loading up the Avengers of the corporate surveillance onto a private jet, flying them straight into communist China. And I'm talking.
And also the mass surveillance that you're seeing in America, especially in Texas and Florida. This technology of mass surveillance is not American. It's un-American. Because if you read the Constitution in the Bill of Rights, and the techniques they're applying to spy on Americans by getting data brokers. So they're getting third party to spy on you through these cameras, right? So you think you go in a business, you go Friday night, you go to Papa Do's, some steakhouse, 100 cameras watching you eat. So you think that these cameras are being monitored by the security of this facility or the business? No. There are hundreds of people behind these cameras. You go to Quick Trip, you go to Mavericks. We all know Walmart and Target is a mass surveillance state as soon as you walk in the parking lot. Okay? So now what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that these are nerds and creeps that are using foreign technology to spy on Americans. And when you understand and study how this mass surveillance work, you will see they're violating your constitutional right every day. And they have bought out all the politicians. Okay, so there will be no AI regulations, and that they have bought the politicians through donations, and they're giving stock tips because these politicians have stocks. They'll always give you an example of Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is just one example. Marjorie Taylor Greene went in there with a $500,000 net worth and came out with $100 million net worth. That's just one example. All of them are insider trading. They have inside information and they're becoming rich. The United States government is being robbed by the people that you elected to serve you and look out for you. They're robbing Americans. They're robbing America, and they're robbing the American government by printing this money. They're getting rich while you struggle to pay your bills, while you struggle to pay gas, while you struggle to buy food and groceries. They're robbing you and they're robbing the government. That's what they're doing while in office.
When you start looking through the list, it reads like the final boss lineup in a cyberpunk movie. BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, Apple, Citigroup, Boeing, Qualcomm, Visa, Meta, Tesla. You look through it.
Hi there. Would you like...
Bro, that is not a business trip. That looks like the people who own your mortgage, your data, your groceries, your retirement account, your social media feed, and probably your toaster oven. All checking in with headquarters, doesn't it? And I know the corporate media wants you to think this is just some kind of economic diplomacy. Nah. Regular Americans don't see diplomacy. They see the same billionaire class that told them, hey, learn to code, eat bugs, live in a pod, drive less, own nothing, and you'll be happy.
All you have to do is, this is what I want you to do. I want you to Google the United States of America debt right after the housing market crash, which is 2009, 2010 area. And then I want you to look at the IPOs that came out. Bitcoin started in 2010. Bitcoin was started by Nashoko Koboshi. Bitcoin was started by international bankers to get you used to digital currency and accept digital currency when they give it to you, okay? And their biggest threat is Second Amendment. The biggest threat is Americans armed to the teeth. That is why the gay guy, Palantir, he wants to come up with robots, AI robots that will use facial recognition to take you out if you disagree with them. Think about it, okay? Now pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. So now, what we have here is all these big tech, the homosexuals, the gays, non-gays, going to China to take trips because China is the headquarter of the mass surveillance. Their technology is being applied in America. They have bought out your governors. They have bought out the House of Representatives. Only thing they have to do is now go buy out the county judges and the county sheriffs, which I doubt a lot of them can easily be bought out, but hopefully a lot of these county judges and the sheriffs will have some morale and look out for America and American people. But ladies and gentlemen, money can buy anything. Okay, money can buy some badass patriots. People who do not know who they are, that their time on this earth is limited, can be bought out. Their souls can be bought out, ladies and gentlemen. A person like me cannot be bought out. You cannot buy me for $100 billion. You cannot buy me for $1 trillion, because I know this is not real. The flesh is not real, ladies and gentlemen. But check this out right here.
And suddenly, getting real friendly with Beijing. Yeah. At this point, the deep state doesn't even hide in bunkers anymore.
They're not hiding anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It's right in the open. Bill Cooper wrote it in Behold the Pale Horse in 1991. It's I don't know what to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. Watch over your family. And just know that if you are bringing a life on this earth, make sure you got money. Make sure you got some natural resources. You got hard asset. Or your kid's going to be a slave to these homosexuals that are taking over the United States government.